Next, from the state capitol, we talk with a representative of Common Cause Illinois. We'll hear why they want to amend the U.S. Constitution to overturn the Supreme Court's ruling in the case of Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission. This runs about 8 minutes.
Ben Singer with Common Cause of Illinois. You're here in the state capitol on the last day of the legislative session. Give us an overview of why you're here, what you're trying to accomplish.
So Common Cause, founded in 1970, has always been about reintroducing accountability and transparency into our democracy. We're a bipartisan, nonpartisan organization based in D.C. We operate in 35 states. Right here in Illinois, right now, we're working on a statewide campaign to make Illinois the 14th state to call for a constitutional amendment, a national constitutional amendment, overturning the Supreme Court's decision in Citizens United versus FEC.
Now, what is the significance, for those who don't follow, of Citizens United versus the FEC?
Citizens United versus FEC said that corporations, unions, and extremely wealthy people can spend unlimited amounts of money buying our elections and buying our elected officials. People are tired of big money controlling our democracy. We want it to be about the voters, not about big money. Money out, voters in. And so this constitutional amendment will say that artificial entities like corporations and unions are not people, and that money is not speech, it's property, and therefore we can pass common sense campaign finance reform legislation. However, we can't pass any meaningful campaign finance reform until we've overturned Citizens United versus FEC. When the Supreme Court passed the Dred Scott decision to the states, the Congress overturned it, Abraham Lincoln overturned it with the 13th Amendment. With Citizens United, when something again goes to the core of our democracy, we have to fix it, and we have to pass this amendment overturning Citizens United.
I might interpret the ruling on Citizens United as the Supreme Court saying that these entities, whether they're labor unions or corporations, also have the right to free speech, and therefore their ability to communicate their message via spending on advertising is part and parcel of free speech. Now, the point is, you're saying that that distorts the level playing field, you guys would argue, and so you're trying to get this amendment passed that would overturn, outlaw, or basically undo what Citizens United ruling did. If that amendment, first of all, let's go through the mechanics. How does one, for those who haven't followed this, amend the U.S. Constitution, which is really what you have to do, and explain why you're here at the Illinois State Capitol since you're trying to amend the U.S. Constitution.
Right. Well, this work is happening at the national level as well. We're working with our partners in Congress to make sure that it is sent to the states. 13 states, red states and blue states alike, have already said we will support this amendment and we call for Congress to send it to the states. Illinois will be the 14th. So,
how many states are needed to
ratify the amendment? We will need 38 states to ratify once 2/3 of Congress votes to send it to the states. So 2/3 of the U.S. House, 2/3 of the U.S. Senate vote to send the amendment to the states, 38 states ratify. We've passed amendments, we've ratified amendments 27 times before. We can do it again.
And so you're here in Illinois State Capitol. How does that fit into your national goals?
Well,
you want a resolution here passed to show that there's support within Illinois, that it would be therefore one of the states that would, if an amendment came out of Congress, vote to ratify it.
Exactly. SJR 27 has been filed in the Illinois General Assembly. It has bipartisan sponsorship in both the Senate and the House. We're looking for its speedy passage because people of both parties agree that it needs not to be about the money in our elections, but about the voters.
What's wrong with we kind of skipped over because I wanted to get to the mechanics of how to do a constitutional amendment. What's wrong with saying that if it's XYZ Corporation and they're trying to sell widgets, why shouldn't they have the right to give money to politicians that support widget making?
Well, we are certainly not advocating for limiting the free speech of individuals who may support a particular candidate or position.
No, but of corporations.
But so if employees and executive of such a corporation support it, they are welcome to support it as citizens, just as other citizens.
Yeah, but I want to stay focused on the point of what you're trying to undo is have the corporation say, and I'm trying to say what's wrong with that if they want to support it.
So corporations, as they exist, did not exist in the founding of our country. When our founding fathers framed the Constitution, there were not corporations that lived forever and could amass incredible wealth in perpetuity. The charters of corporations were very limited. And so the fact that today corporations can live on forever, are not limited to a particular project, they can own other corporations, it has evolved into a system in which it is unfair and it is not a level playing field for your average citizen, or even your not average citizen, to be able to compete with the power and election that a corporation, which is not a person, is able to have in elections. Ask your everyday voter, they do not believe that their vote matters in an election compared to the money that is being spent by the super PACs, the corporations, and the unions.
So would this do away with all political action committees?
This would allow for an elected body such as Congress or the Illinois legislature to pass campaign finance reform legislation. It does not dictate what does campaign financing look like, but
It would allow them to put limitations on donations?
Exactly. So the state of Montana had a 100-year-old campaign finance law that was overturned in the Citizens United decision. The voters of Arizona passed an initiative for a public financing bill that was also gutted by the Supreme Court. In the wake of Watergate, Congress passed a law with veto-proof majorities in the House and Senate calling for campaign finance legislation, creating true campaign finance reform. That was gutted by the Supreme Court, and the same thing happened with McCain-Feingold. So we are not dictating what the parameters of campaign finance reform should be, but we are saying that we elect our officials because the people want our elections to be run in a fair way, and our elected officials should be able to do that.
All right, Ben Singer, thank you.
Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.